The unexpected visitor. Dominic Reed's apartment key stuck in the lock again, a fitting end to a day that had already felt like a personal insult from the universe. He shoved harder, muttering curses at the ancient mechanism he could never quite afford to replace. The door finally surrendered with a screech that echoed down the hallway, announcing his arrival to neighbors who'd long since learned to ignore the daily symphony of his struggles. He stumbled inside, arms full of instant noodles, his dinner plan and life strategy neatly rolled into one depressing package. The light flickered when he hit the switch, but it was the figure in the center of his living room that made his brain stutter to a halt. She stood perfectly still, tall and sharp-edged like a statue carved from pure authority. Her skin had a faint blue-silver sheen, and her eyes, 3 of them, arranged in a triangle, studied him with the cold calculation of someone assessing a potential threat. Most striking were her crested head ridges that pulsed with a bioluminescent glow, cycling through colors that seemed to match her rapid breathing. "You will provide sanctuary in this dwelling," the woman said, her voice carrying the kind of authority that could make armies march or small nations surrender. Dominic noticed a wound on her side, glowing with the same phosphorescence as her head crests, but darker, more urgent. Dominic opened his mouth, thought better of it, and closed it again. Then opened it anyway. Okay, sure. Make yourself at home." His voice cracked halfway through the sentence, which he immediately regretted. She advanced a step. The motion made her cloak flutter, revealing the outline of what could only be weapons. A sleek device materialized in her hand, humming with blue energy. "Swear it," she demanded. "I swear it," Dominic squeaked, raising his hands. "Won't tell a soul. Your secret's safe in this dump." Her 3 eyes narrowed simultaneously, pupils contracting like camera shutters. After a tense moment, she lowered the device, which vanished back into thin air as though reality itself bent to her will. Dominic's heart pounded so hard he thought it might knock over his bookshelf. "I require sustenance," she announced, striding past him to inspect his kitchenette with the air of a queen visiting a primitive village. Dominic followed, still wondering if he'd fallen asleep on the subway and this was all an elaborate stress dream. "That's a microwave," he mumbled, pointing to the appliance. "It heats food with radiation." "It's fine." She turned, her expression caught somewhere between horror and fascination. "You weaponize radiation to prepare food?" "Well, yeah. I mean, when you put it that way, it sounds kind of cool." "That is both inefficient and dangerous," she paused, tilting her head. "I approve." Dominic, not knowing whether that was good or bad, bent to gather his scattered noodle packets. "So, you're an alien, huh?" She rounded on him so fast he dropped the noodles again. "Commander Lyra Veshan of the Thracian fleet. And you, human, are now complicit in harboring a fugitive from galactic justice." Cool, Dominic wheezed, sinking onto his threadbare couch. "That's great. Just what I needed. I was worried my life wasn't complicated enough." Lyra was already pulling apart his toaster, wires sparking in her slender fingers. "Primitive. Inelegant. But the heating element's alloy might be serviceable." Dominic groaned. "I just bought that last month." She ignored him, muttering in a language that sounded like crystalline wind chimes. Bits of metal floated up, spinning in the air as she directed them with sharp gestures. His toaster died a heroic, sizzling death right before his eyes. "You can't just take things apart," Dominic protested weakly. Lyra's head ridges flashed a deep crimson, and she gave him a look that made his stomach tighten. "Human, you should be grateful your crude appliance is now contributing to survival against imperial tyranny." Dominic flopped back on the couch, covering his face. "Oh God, I'm going to get evicted." A sharp beep made him peek through his fingers. The floating scraps had coalesced into a sleek device that projected a faint holographic grid into the air. Lyra tapped at it, and strange symbols flickered by. "My stealth field is compromised. I need local materials to recalibrate the phase harmonics." Your Earth technology is insufficient. Dominic squinted at the floating display. Maybe you could try Radio Shack. Her head snapped around. Is this Radio Shack a weapons depot? Dominic couldn't help it, a bark of laughter escaped him. Lady, the only thing dangerous about Radio Shack is their warranty policies. She frowned, clearly not appreciating the joke. Look, Commander Veshin, if you're going to camp out in my room, we need some ground rules. Dominic sat up straighter. Rule 1, no blowing up my appliances. Rule 2, no threatening me with whatever that blue light thing was. Rule 3, I get the bed, you can have the couch. Her gaze flicked to the sad, lumpy mattress against the wall, then back to him. Your bedding is inadequate for both of us. Dominic threw his hands up. You want to pay rent? No. Then I get the bed. Lyra's lips quirked. It might have been a smile, though on her alien face it looked more like she was considering vaporizing him for fun. Very well, human. I shall allow you this victory. For now. Dominic groaned and retrieved a fresh pack of noodles. Fantastic. I've been invaded by an alien dictator with glowing head ridges and a superiority complex. Lyra flicked her wrist, and the hologram shifted to display a map of the city overlaid with pulsing red dots. Do not flatter yourself. You're of no strategic value. Your domicile was simply the closest structure when my stealth field collapsed. Wow, really makes a guy feel special, Dominic muttered, shoving the noodles into the microwave. And here I thought we had a connection. The microwave hummed. Lyra watched it like it might explode, her head ridges flickering with each beep. She tapped something on her neck, and a sliver of metal emerged, a communication implant, Dominic guessed. But it flickered weakly and went dark. She muttered another string of chime-like syllables, then sighed. It was a very human sound, and Dominic couldn't help but notice. You okay? He asked, against his better judgment. Lyra didn't answer at first. My people will search for me. If they find me, they will not hesitate to eliminate any witnesses. Dominic's appetite vanished. He stared at the microwave, watching the noodles spin in slow, oblivious circles. Well. That's comforting. She turned back to him, sharp and bright and dangerous. Do not fear, human. I will defend this territory. Dominic blinked. This crappy apartment? Lyra nodded solemnly. It is my stronghold now. Dominic started laughing. It came out in wheezing gasps he couldn't control. Oh God, I'm living in a science fiction movie. An alien commander squatting in my room and calling it her stronghold. She watched him, head tilted in confusion. Is this hysteria? Little bit, yeah. Lyra's head ridges shifted to a softer blue. You are an odd species. Dominic wiped his eyes. Lady, you have no idea. The microwave dinged. Lyra jumped, reaching for her weapon again. Dominic raised a hand. No stabbing the microwave. That's rule 4. She eyed the machine suspiciously as Dominic retrieved his sad, steaming noodles. Sitting on the couch again, he looked at the alien woman dismantling his life one appliance at a time and felt a sinking realization settle in. So, he said around a mouthful, how long are you planning on staying? Lyra folded her arms, her head ridges pulsing slowly. Until I repair my stealth array and secure extraction from this planet. Dominic slumped. Great. So, forever. She arched what might have been an eyebrow. Your sarcasm is noted. He pointed with his fork. Rule 5, get used to it. Her mouth twitched again. Very well. But Rule 6, touch my gear without permission, and I will disintegrate your limbs, starting with the least useful. Dominic blinked. So, my appendix? Lyra considered. Agreed. Dominic sighed and leaned back. This is my life now. Lyra's eyes gleamed faintly in the dim room. Indeed, human. Prepare yourself. War may come to the stronghold. Dominic looked around at his peeling wallpaper and threadbare carpet. Yeah, it's ready for war. Barely survived a house party last year. Lyra didn't laugh, but her head ridges shimmered slightly with a purple hue. Dominic decided to count that as a win. A reluctant alliance. Dominic woke to the sound of something sparking violently near his head. He cracked one eye open and immediately regretted it. Lyra was crouched over his power strip, surrounded by a chaos of wires, blinking lights, and tools that looked suspiciously like they'd been fashioned from his kitchen appliances. Her head ridges pulsed with a concentrated amber glow as she muttered to herself, and every few seconds the lights in the apartment dimmed and flared back up like a dying star. Dominic groaned and rolled over, pulling his blanket tighter. It's too early for interstellar sabotage. Lyra didn't look up. Your energy converters are laughably unstable. I'm attempting to stabilize your grid before it incinerates us both. Dominic squinted at her, then at his overloaded power strip that had survived years of abuse. That thing's been fine for years. A small explosion sent a puff of smoke into the air. Lyra leaned back, clearly unimpressed. By fine, you mean a statistical anomaly in favor of continued existence? Dominic sat up, rubbing his face. Lady, if you blow up my room, I swear I'm putting that on your rent bill. She finally turned, her expression caught somewhere between disdain and curiosity. What is this obsession your species has with financial compensation? Will it repair structural damage? Dominic flopped back on his pillow. No, but it'll make me feel better while I cry over the insurance claim. Lyra's head ridges flickered briefly. Your coping mechanisms are inefficient. So's my life, Dominic grunted. The lights flickered once more before settling into a steady glow. Lyra stood, dusting her hands. Temporary success. Your power network is stabilized, though I doubt it will endure under heavy load. Dominic yawned. Good, because the heaviest load it's carrying is my phone charger, and that's how I like it. She ignored his remark and returned to the holographic device on his desk, which now hovered and pulsed with shifting constellations. Dominic watched the blue light dance across the walls and let out a long breath. So, he mumbled, you going to tell me why you're really here? Because this whole hiding in my room plan doesn't exactly scream galactic strategy. Lyra's fingers paused midair for a moment. She didn't speak, and Dominic thought maybe she'd just ignore him again, but then her voice came lower and rougher. There was a coup within my fleet. My lieutenant accused me of treason. They seek to erase me quietly, without a trace. I evaded capture by crashing my stealth pod near this urban center. Dominic blinked. Wait, you crashed here? In the city? And no one noticed? She looked at him like he was particularly simple. Your species observed the crash and attributed it to a meteorological anomaly. Your news channels are accommodating. Dominic groaned. Yeah, that tracks. We did have a freak weather event last night. Lyra's three eyes narrowed. The Empire covers its tracks well. I suspect they already have agents on this world searching for me. Dominic's stomach twisted. So they'll come here. To my apartment. She gave him a look that was far too calm for his liking. If they detect my signal, yes. That is why I must repair my stealth array. Remaining in this location much longer is unwise. Dominic swallowed. Cool, cool, cool. So I'm harboring a fugitive, and my reward is probable death. Fantastic. Lyra's head ridges pulsed a deep blue. You exaggerate. Death is only one of several possible outcomes. Dominic rubbed his temples. That's not comforting. She turned back to her hologram, manipulating symbols that made no sense to him. You chose to shelter me, human. Accept the consequences. Dominic sat up, glaring at her back. I didn't choose anything. You broke into my room, threatened me with a weapon, and called dibs on my toaster. Lyra's shoulders stiffened. You could have refused. Dominic flailed his arms. You had a plasma dagger. She said nothing, but he could swear her head ridges flickered with suppressed amusement. He flopped back again. Unbelievable. My life has turned into a bad sci-fi sitcom. Lyra's voice softened slightly. If it brings you comfort, know that your actions may have prevented the destruction of your world. Dominic sat up again. Wait, what? She gestured, and the hologram shifted to show a fleet of dark, angular ships hovering over a planet that looked unsettlingly Earth-like. The Thracian Empire intends to strip mine resource-rich worlds. Your planet is classified as expendable. Dominic's throat went dry. Expendable? Lyra nodded. Had I not stolen evidence of their crimes, your world would be marked for cleansing within the next planetary cycle. Dominic stared at the hologram, feeling like the floor had dropped out from under him. So this is bigger than you hiding in my room. This is full-on Space Empire conspiracy stuff. She gave a small nod. Correct. Dominic dragged a hand down his face. And I'm involved because fate hates me. Lyra tilted her head. Statistical probability suggests your involvement is due to proximity and opportunity. Dominic glared. You know, for someone hiding out in my room, you're really bad at making me feel special. Her head ridges pulsed a softer lavender. You are special, human. You are now my co-conspirator. Congratulations, Dominic groaned. I want off this ride. Lyra didn't respond. She was already deep into calibrating her device again, the blue light reflecting in her 3 eyes. After a long silence, Dominic stood and shuffled to the kitchenette. You want coffee? He muttered. Lyra paused. What is coffee? Dominic gave a humorless laugh. Oh boy, you're in for a treat. As the machine gurgled and hissed, filling the apartment with the bitter scent of caffeine, Dominic leaned against the counter and watched her work. Despite everything, despite the alien tech, the conspiracy, the looming death threats, it was weirdly domestic, an alien fugitive and an underachieving human sharing coffee in a crappy apartment while the fate of the world hung in the balance. Lyra sniffed the mug suspiciously when he handed it to her. This beverage is dark and volatile. Dominic smirked. So are you. You'll get along great. She took a sip and immediately stiffened, her head ridges shooting to a bright yellow. This substance is a chemical stimulant. Dominic grinned. Yep. Welcome to Earth. She blinked all 3 eyes in sequence, then took another, longer sip. Acceptable. Dominic slumped back onto the couch. If we're going to die, might as well be caffeinated. Lyra eyed him over the rim of the mug. You are strange, human. Dominic sighed. You're not the first person to say that. The hologram pinged suddenly, red dots flaring brighter on the city map. Lyra's expression vanished, replaced by icy focus. They are narrowing the search. Dominic's stomach flipped. That's bad, right? She stood, her cloak swirling around her like liquid shadow. We need parts to repair the array. Primitive though your technology is, I can adapt it.